Hi and welcome to another Watch Geek video. Today we'll be doing a tutorial for the module 5441 that is being inside this GA1100 G-Shock. And since my tutorial videos tend to be very long, in the description you will find a table of content with time codes so you can jump to specific parts of the video or functions of the watch. However, I would advise you to watch the whole video the first time just so you get acquainted with all the functions that this watch offers. I also did a review of this thing, and if you want to check that out, you can click right here. Okay, so the first thing that I want to show you is how to check and correct the hand's position. Why? Well, because this is a regular battery operated G-Shock, meaning that you will have to change the battery every 2 to 5 years, depending on how often you use the functions. And whenever you change a battery in a digital analog G-Shock, the hands are going to get misaligned. Because whenever you take out a battery and put it back in, the watch assumes all the hands are pointing at midnight. And that's rarely the case, so the watch will end up showing incorrect data with the hands. So whenever you change the battery, the first thing that you want to do is check and correct the hand's position. To do so, you have to be in the home screen. And to get into the home screen, you simply press the mode button until it cycles back to the home screen, indicating that with a higher pitched tone. So let's do it. There, you just heard it. Okay, so once in the home screen, you press and hold the adjust button for more than 5 seconds. So you have to ignore the first beep that takes you to the adjusting screen and wait for this screen to write H set. Once you see the H set here, which means hand setting position, you release the button. So let's do it. Press and hold, still hold, and now release. And the first thing that the watch is going to ask you is the position of the seconds hand, because the seconds hand is going to jump to midnight. If it stops anywhere else, you will use these two buttons to correct it. And you can correct it clockwise and counterclockwise. Once you've placed it to 12 or midnight, you press the mode button. Now the next hands that are going to be setting up are the main time hands, the minute and hour hand. Again, they have to stop at midnight. If they stop anywhere else, you simply correct them with these two buttons. So you can go clockwise, you can go counterclockwise. The minute and hour hand are connected, so moving one actually moves the other. And they can also speed scroll like this if you press and hold, and they're going to start moving rapidly until you press one of these two buttons. Once you've aligned them to midnight, you press the mode button again. And now the watch is going to align the subdial 1, which is the world time subdial. That thing also has to be at midnight. If it's not, again, using these two buttons, you can adjust it. Once you've adjusted that, and also the minute and hour hand are connected. So moving one actually moves the other. And now finally pressing the mode button again is going to ask you for the subdial number 2, which is this one right here. This one also has to point at 12 or midnight or straight up, and if it doesn't, again, you can move it clockwise and counterclockwise with these two buttons. Once you've placed all the hands pointing upwards or at midnight, this watch has now had the hands perfectly aligned. Once you do that, to exit the hand setting mode, you simply press the adjust button, and the hands are going to jump back to the correct position. That's it. Once you've done this, now you can move on to setting up the time and all the other settings of this watch. So while in the home screen, to set up the hours, the minutes, date, and everything, you press and hold the adjust button, but you release it after the first beep to enter the adjusting mode. So press and hold and release. And the first thing that the watch is going to ask you is your home city. And this is very important to set up correctly because all the times in the world time function are actually based off of this. So if you mess up your home city time, none of the world time zones are going to be showing the correct time. Now to move or to change the home city, you use these two buttons. Actually, in the adjusting mode, whenever you want to toggle between different values to change, you use the mode button, and to change the values, you use these two buttons because you can increase values, decrease values, and if you have to toggle something on or off, you use the lower button. So we can move east, we can move west. We'll leave it at Stockholm. Pressing the mode button, the watch is going to ask you for the DST or daylight savings time. This is basically the summertime. So whenever you want to switch between summertime and wintertime, you come to this, and with the lower button, you can toggle it to on or to off. When you toggle it to on, the hours are going to move by 1 up. If you put it to off, they're going to move backwards by 1 up. And that's it. Pressing the mode button again, the watch is going to ask you whether you want the digital screen to display a 12 or 24-hour format. If you put it to 12, it's going to have the AM/PM indicator. If you leave it at 24, it's going to be the military time. Pressing the mode button again, the watch asks you for the seconds, and you reset them with the lower button. If you reset them now at, as you can see, 51 or between 30 and 59, the minutes are going to move by 1 up. And if you reset them before 30 seconds, between 0 and 29, like so, they're going to jump back to 0, but the minutes are going to stay unchanged. Pressing the mode button again, the watch asks you for the hours. And now you can go down, up, you can go down. So let's put it like this. Pressing the mode button again, it's going to ask you for the minutes. The same, you can go up, you can go down, and you can also speed scroll if you press and hold, like so. Once you've set up the minutes, you press the mode button again, the watch is going to ask you for the year. Again, you can go up, you can go down. Pressing the mode button again asks you for the month, so again you can go down, you can go up, and pressing the mode button again asks you for the date. Again, up, down, and you can also speed scroll. The day of the week is calculated automatically, so the watch is not going to ask you that. Pressing the mode button again, the watch asks you whether you want the watch to make noise or beeping sounds when you operate the buttons, which is like this, ketone, or if you toggle it with the lower button, you can select the mute function, where the watch is not going to make any sound as you operate the buttons. Let's put it back to ketone. Pressing the mode button again, the watch asks you how long you want the light to stay on after you press the light button. If you leave it like this at LT3, it's going to stay on for 3 seconds. If you toggle it to LT1, it's going to stay lit up for 1.5 seconds. Pressing the mode button again jumps back to the selection of the home city. So in case you missed something or set up something incorrectly, simply pressing the mode button is going to cycle you back to that setting. And once you've set up everything, to exit the adjusting mode, you simply press the adjust button. So pressing the adjust button exits, and now the hands move to their correct position. And you've just set up the watch. Okay, now let's move on with the home screen to see what this watch displays. So as you can see, this watch can display the running seconds, the main time, hours and minutes, the world time, hours and minutes. This hand right here displays what function you're currently in, which is time or main time. This here displays the date, and this here displays the day of the week. Also, as you can see, we have the AM indicator telling us that we're at AM. If it's PM, it's going to say PM. Now this screen here can show you, these two screens can show you date and day of the week, or if you toggle it with the adjust button, it can tell you the calendar with month, date, and running seconds. And you toggle it with the adjust button. It can also display the digital time, and as you can see, it's in a 24-hour format. So just by pressing this, you toggle between what you want displayed at these screens. Now, like I said, so pressing the adjust button in the home screen toggles the screens, pressing and holding enters the adjusting mode, and pressing and holding for 5 seconds is going to enter the hand setting mode. Pressing this button right here is going to activate the light, and pressing and holding is going to activate the auto light. So if you press and hold for more than 3 seconds, there, you have this little LT show up here. So now if we put the watch level L tilted to our face, it's going to light up. Since this is not a solar watch, it's a regular battery operated, it doesn't know when it's in the dark, so it's going to keep activating this even during the day. So in order for you to save the battery, it's going to turn off this auto light function automatically after 6 hours. You can naturally turn it off manually by pressing and holding the light button for 5 seconds again, until the little LT disappears. Like so. Like I said, pressing the mode button is going to cycle you through different modes until you go back to the home screen. Also, no matter what mode you're in, if you press and hold the mode button, the watch is automatically going to jump back to the home screen. And that's pretty much it. Now, to cycle through, as you can see by pressing the mode button, you cycle through these regular watch modes, the world time, timer, and all that. However, as you can see, the watch past the compass, because this watch actually has a dedicated compass button. So to enter the compass, you have to press the comp button. And now, once you do it, the watch is going to continuously tell you the direction that you're pointing the watch at by displaying the bearing here and the hand showing north, for I believe, 20 seconds or so. Now to reset the cycle and to restart the compass, you simply press the COM button again. And the watch is going to start a new cycle of showing you the bearing. While in the compass mode, you can actually see here the bearing or the sides of the world that you're pointing the watch at. To show that, you simply press the adjust button and the watch is going to display the sides of the world. So pressing this cycles between the two. Since we're in the compass button, in the compass function, let me show you what else you can do. So you can calibrate the compass and you can also adjust for magnetic declination. So to calibrate and to do both of these, you have to enter the adjusting mode within the compass. To do so, you press and hold the adjust button, like so. And now the watch is asking you for bidirectional calibration. To go to the declination setting, you simply press the mode button. So this is going to cycle between the declination and the calibration. The declination is the difference in degrees between magnetic north and true north. So if you're using a map that has magnetic declination written on it, you just enter that number right here, and it can be due east or due west in degrees. If you use a map that doesn't have the declination written on it, you simply leave this at 0. Now to calibrate the compass, and that's something you will have to do from time to time, you go into the calibration and you point the watch in one direction. It doesn't have to be north. It can be any direction you want. While you're pointing it and keeping it level, once you point it and keep it level, you simply press the compass button. And now you have to wait for the watch to write OK here. Once it writes OK, it means that it calibrated that direction and is going to tell you to turn the watch 180 degrees by indicating a downward arrow. There, and now it says to change direction. Now you turn the watch 180 degrees and press the COM button again. And again, now we have to wait for the watch to write the OK in this little screen. Once it says OK, that means that we calibrated the compass. And there, it just finished. That's pretty much it when it comes to the compass. To go back to the home screen, you simply press the mode button. Now the second sensor function that is not accessible through the mode button is the thermometer. So to enter the thermometer while in the home screen, you press the lower button. And now the watch is going to write the temperature in degrees centigrade. As you can see, it's 25.6. You can naturally calibrate the thermometer and also change the units. To do so, while in the thermometer function, you enter the adjusting mode by pressing and holding the adjust button, like so. And now the watch is going to ask you to calibrate the thermometer. So in case you have an accurate thermometer by your side, you can correct if the watch displays incorrect thermometer data. Pressing the mode button is going to ask you for the units. And now with the lower button, you can toggle between Fahrenheit and centigrade or Celsius. And that's pretty much it. Pressing the adjust button exits the calibration of the thermometer, and to go back to the home screen, you press the mode button. And that's pretty much it. The next function that we're going to cover is the world time function. And once in the world time function, this screen here is going to tell you what the time zone is of this subdial. So in the home screen, in the world time function and any other function, this subdial is always going to show you the world time zone selected in the world time, and these hands are going to show you the home screen, the home time. And the things that you can do in this world time function is you can change the time zone that you want by simply using this lower button to move east, like so. Once you move east, this subdial is going to get adjusted to the correct time zone. Unfortunately, you cannot go west because pressing this button just activates the light. However, you can jump back to UTC, which is kind of okay if you miss your time zone. You don't have to go all the way back, all the way around the globe, but simply pressing these two buttons simultaneously is going to take the time zone back to UTC so you can start over. And the other thing that you can do while in the home screen is turn the DST or daylight savings time for each time zone individually except UTC, because that doesn't have the DST. So if we select a time zone like, let's say, I don't know, Moscow, to turn the DST for Moscow, all you have to do is press and hold the adjust button until the watch beeps. So let's just wait for the subdial to get into position, like so. Now, pressing and holding just activated the DST, and the time has moved accordingly. To deactivate the DST for that time zone, you press and hold the adjust button again, like so. And the final thing, and probably the most useful thing that this world time function has, is the time swap function. So let's say we travel from our home city to Moscow, and this is the Moscow time, this is our home city time. Once we land in Moscow, and we're going to be there for a couple of days, we don't want to keep track of Moscow time here, because that's pretty impractical. We want Moscow time to be visible, easily visible with these big hands. However, we still want to keep track of our home time in case we want to make calls, so we want that time to be moved right here. To do so, all you have to do is press the adjust button, and while you're holding the adjust button in the world time, press the light button, so like so. And now these two time zones have switched. Now our home city has moved to this little subdial and become our world time function, while our world time zone has become our home city. So the Moscow has now become home city, and Stockholm has become the world time city. This is also practical because all the alarms are actually depending on the home city you select. So now any alarm that we make, any alarm that we set up, is going to ring according to Moscow time. Once we travel back to our home city, to Stockholm, we simply do the same. Press, press, and these two are going to switch back. Now this, like I said, is a very, very useful function for frequent travelers, because it allows for a very fast and convenient swap between time zones. But even without this, this watch will be great for people who travel a lot, because you have both times visible at all times, no matter what function we're in. Anyways, that's it when it comes to the world time. So now let's move on to the next function, which is the stopwatch. This watch sadly comes with only a 60-minute stopwatch, and you can start it with the lower button, you can stop it, you can reset it with the upper button. You can also do split times, so you can start it, pressing the adjust button freezes the screen while the stopwatch keeps running in the background. Once you've written down the data, you can unfreeze the screen by pressing the adjust button. And you can also do the first and second place, meaning that if you have two runners, as the first one goes through the finish line, you press the adjust button. When the second one goes through the finish line, you press the lower button. And now you can write down the time of the first runner. Pressing the adjust button tells you the time of the second runner. And once you've written everything down, you press the adjust button to reset the stopwatch. That's it when it comes to the stopwatch. The next function is the countdown timer. Again, sadly, this comes with only a 60-minute countdown timer. To start the timer, you press the lower button. Once it reaches 0, it's going to start beeping. You can also stop it and reset it to the time stored in the memory. You can also adjust the timer to any time between 1 minute and 60 minutes in 1-minute increments. To do so, you press and hold the adjust button, like so. And now the watch is going to ask you what the minutes you want to set it up for. And you can go up, you can go down. Sadly, you cannot set up the seconds, so like I said, in 1-minute increments. Once you've set it up to the desired time, you press the adjust button, and now again, if you press the start button, it's going to start counting down. Once it reaches 0, it's going to beep. And that's pretty much it. You can stop it, you can reset it. And the last function that we're going to cover is the alarm. This watch comes with 5 alarms, and it also has the hourly chime function where we can beep every full hour. To cycle between the alarms, you simply press the lower button. And as you can see, the watch is going to display which alarm you selected, and then it's going to toggle between that and the time when that alarm is set for. So alarm 4 is set up for midnight. Alarm 5 also for midnight, and when we get to the SIG, it doesn't display anything because that's just the hourly chime. Now to turn on any of these, the hourly chime or the alarm, once you select what you want to turn on, you press the adjust button. And it's going to write on here, and you're going to have this little SIG display here. Now the watch is going to beep every full hour. To turn on any of the alarms, you simply select the desired alarm, let's say alarm 2, and you press the adjust button. It's going to say on, and the little ALM is going to be displayed here. Now please note that whenever any of the alarms is turned on, you're going to have this ALM displayed here. Also, even if you select the alarm that's turned off, let's say alarm 4, as soon as you start adjusting the time for that alarm, it's automatically going to turn itself on. So to adjust the desired alarm, let's say alarm 4, to a desired time, you simply press the adjust button and hold it with the alarm 4 selected. And now the watch is going to ask you what time you want the alarm to be set for. First, the hours, and you can set it up just like the countdown timer and the main time by using these two buttons. So you can go up, you can go down, and you can also speed scroll like so. Pressing the mode button is going to ask you for the minutes. And again, you can go up, you can go down, and you can speed scroll like this. Once you've set up the time to the alarm to the desired time, you press the adjust button to exit. And as you can see, the alarm has been turned on. And now, as you can see, this alarm 4 has been set up for 7:07, and it's a daily alarm, meaning it's going to be ringing every day at 7:07 a.m. Now, once it starts ringing, when you're in the main time, you can either let it run down, which I believe it rings for about 15 seconds, 10 or 15 seconds, or pressing any of the buttons once it starts ringing is going to stop the ringing. However, to turn off the alarm and stop it from repeating itself every day, you have to go into the alarm function, you have to toggle back to the alarm 4, that's the one that's ringing, and you have to turn it off by pressing the adjust button. Now you've turned it off, however the time has stayed in the memory. So it's not going to reset to midnight, but it's going to stay at 7:07. So whenever you want to use it again, you simply turn it on, and that's it. Pressing the mode button takes us back to the home screen. Anyways, this completes the tutorial for this GA1100. I hope you found it useful and enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe by pressing this button right here. And until the next video, bye.